And I bring them up on stage, and we're going to have a dialogue about how they've grown their software business, because it's pretty amazing how quickly you can grow when you bring value to your clients. Joe, welcome. Darrin, welcome. So, Joe, Sirius has actually been a business partner since 1980. You started as Star Data in 1990s, you shifted over to Sirius, so you've seen a lot of transition. So tell us a little bit about Sirius and what makes you unique, and what unique value do you bring to your clients?
Sure. So Sirius is IBM's largest customer-facing partner. We have about 14,000 clients across the U.S. As you look at our business, it has changed dramatically over the years that we've been a partner. Probably that change has been more dramatic in the last 5 than any time previously. As you look at what makes us unique from a client perspective, I think it's really the fact that our marketing approach is very much one of, frankly, starting by sitting down and listening to the client to understand what are the problems they face in their business, and then how do we use IBM technology to figure out a solution to those business problems. It sounds maybe a bit trite, but the reality is that so many of our competitors in the marketplace and so many sellers go into a client with a product focus as opposed to really thinking about what's important to that client and how do you ensure that they're getting ROI from the project and you have a very successful project for that client.
So, we talked about it earlier today, and Tom mentioned it, that you as partners, you have access to the market, the clients. In fact, you've got more client-facing people than even the IBM team. What are you hearing from clients? What is the challenges that they have? What are the problems that they're looking for all of us collectively to help them solve? Because it's shifted over the last couple of years.
Oh, it's shifted a lot. I mean, as I reflect on our business, 10 years ago, we were a single-thread IBM iSeries only partner. It represented about 90% of our revenue. And at that time, as we sat with clients, what we heard then, and it's even more true today, was that their infrastructures were getting far more complex, many different environments, and they really wanted to have a single partner that had the ability to solve their business problems across that infrastructure. So we started at that time really investing across the IBM hardware portfolio, and in the last 5 years really investing in the IBM software portfolio as well. So if you look at our business today, if 10 years ago we were 90% IBM iSeries, while power is still a very, very important part of our business, it represents less than 15% of our revenues. And our business today, our largest brand is IBM Software, and our business has grown by a factor of 5 over this 10-year period.
Well, I think, you give hope for everyone out there that's having to transform, because we continually have to transform as businesses. IBM does it, our partners do it, and you've had to go through multiple transitions.
Yeah.
Now, everyone wants to talk about cloud. How do you handle that question from the client, what do you do with cloud? Because cloud means different things to different clients depending on what problem they're trying to solve. So what do you see out there in your discussions with clients on the cloud?
Well, I think every single client discussion has to do with cloud. Every customer wants to talk about it. Every customer wants to figure out how to utilize it in their own enterprise. And I think often our sellers struggle with how do they respond to the questions. And I think the best approach, and the approach that's worked well for us, is first of all to understand the current client environment. How much is physical, how much is virtual, where they are on that journey from that physical environment into a cloud environment. And I think once you understand the baseline, then you can figure out for that client what's the right economic model for them. Sometimes that's going to be public cloud, sometimes it's going to be a private environment. Often, probably most often, it's going to be a hybrid environment with some of their solutions being in the cloud and a lot of it being on-premise. But it's really more about understanding the current infrastructure and then building a roadmap to get them to where they want to go.
So, Darrin, you guys obviously do a good job on cloud. There's a lot of other technologies and solutions that Sirius has really put a lot of effort into it. You've trained your people. You've brought a lot of value to clients. Give us some areas that you're focused in on, with clients.
At first, I'm a little choked up. I have to wipe the tears out of my eye to publicly hear Joe state software is Sirius's #1 business.
It is.
This is a major moment. Hopefully this is being recorded somewhere. And please
that just means you're going to get more quota. You know that.
That's right.
That's the way it works.
No good deed goes unpunished, I guess. Yeah, actually, so we have a saying, a philosophy here at Sirius that complacency is nothing more than the early stages of irrelevance. And we have consistently had to, follow market trends, follow technology, follow our customer demands. We've gone so far as, we have these relationships so that we can resell the entire IBM software stack to, but there's a subset of the stack that our customers consistently are demanding help with. So we're seeing a lot of activity. A lot of it's in the areas that you already covered. Security, unbelievable, right? What we're seeing from a QRadar and a Guardian perspective is just fantastic. Tea leaf, white hot. We actually closed a deal, a $400,000 deal, 8 days from demonstration in a GBLE retail account for tea leaf. I mean, that stuff's like candy. You just got to show it to the right people and customers buy it. Mobility, anyone who's not paying attention to mobility, you're missing the mark. We have customers, just about every one of our implementations has some sort of mobile considerations. And analytics. I mean, it's very difficult for customers to run their businesses without understanding how they're operating or where their profits are and so forth. So those, we've actually, you've heard us refer to them as the Sexy Six. There's a Sexy Six set of solutions that, we're actually arming our software sales teams with iPads that have videotape demonstrations on them so they can walk into any customer and they can show them any of these Sexy Six and get them excited within a 5 to 7 minute video of seeing the eye candy of how powerful these solutions are and get us the next meeting with our SMA. So those are the areas that we're really seeing quite a bit.
Now, obviously, you're starting to use mobility in the way you, and you're part of your process. You're transforming the way you go to market with your clients. What about your mobility practice? I know you're heavily investing in this transition that's going on in mobility. So what are you doing in that area?
Yeah, what we noticed was, I think there were some mistakes made early on where mobility is imperative, but some of our sellers were making mistakes, and not just our sellers, where they'd walk into a mobility conversation and say, the answer's work light, what's the question? And that doesn't make any sense, because depending upon where that customer is and the maturity of their mobility journey, they may or may not be ready for a mobile enterprise application platform. So what's really important is we've actually started, and it's going to sound cliche and trite, start with a business discussion around what is the customer trying to do. And then let's architect and help them implement the right strategy and solution set integrated with their back-end systems or whatever. MDM, the FiberLink acquisition was brilliant. We closed the first FiberLink channel deal within a week of us signing that direct reseller agreement. So the key is, in our practice, again, starting with the customer, what's their need, understand where they are in the process, and then provide the right solution for them.
Yeah, I think there's an important lesson learned. It is about the problem, not about the technology. The technology is a means to solve a client problem. Now, I know you use incentives. We are pretty proud of the program we've got here to support all of our partners. How do you use the incentives that IBM provides to drive your business and drive your growth?
Yeah, so Joe kind of glossed over it. Let me touch on a couple of things. In a 3-year period, we tripled our IBM software business. We almost quintupled that business in a 6-year period. We quintupled our IBM software services business. If it was not for your programs, there is no way we would have done that in such an accelerated fashion. I think our biggest growth impediment is getting the messaging out to our customer base of 14,000 customers, right? The IBM software solution stack is the envy of the industry. And we really just have to get our customers to understand those value props, and we close more deals. Co-marketing, I know I torture Mark Register and a number of the executives about co-marketing, but I am its biggest fan, co-marketing. We executed almost 100 software-focused marketing events last year that yielded $11.8 million in new license deals. $11.8 million in new license deals that we would not have had. We actually have had a great run. In 2013, we grew our IBM software business 50%. 50, not 15, 50%. With programs like SPI, VAP, industry capabilities, and solution accelerator incentive, we knocked it out of the park. Now, unfortunately, my CFO is here, and I'm going to pay for it in quota next year. But we had a great year, and it was because of those programs, and it's enabled us to invest. We're investing in areas. We're actually building out an inside sales team that's going to enable us to drive our business into the line of business. Our legacy business has been predominantly in IT and procurement. Forrester did a study that said 67% of technology spend will be driven out of the line of business. We have to force our sellers to do that. I talked about the iPads and the demos. We are mandating that our software sellers have a minimum of 5 LOB calls with their iPad a month. We would not be able to afford doing these kinds of things. The inside sales, driving into BPLNs, dormant accounts, competitive accounts, and driving into LOB contacts within our existing accounts. If it weren't for your programs, there's no way that we would have achieved what we've achieved today.
You know, it's great, but I'll tell you, I'm watching Joe, and he's calculating that 50%.
It's not
I
good.
think your quota is going up.
That's not good.
And by the way, it's on tape, so it's going to be hard for you to deny.
I got to find out who the editor is. I've got money.
No, seriously, you guys have done an amazing job. And you talked about the transformation, like you said, Joe, starting, the I-Series, kind of a hardware vendor, all the way making your transition to a solution provider. Now, we all know that skills and technical eminence are absolutely critical. I see it all the time, and I can tell you, I know partners that are successful just by what they do around skills and their eminence. So, Joe, what are you guys doing, and how do we help you really get to that eminence that allows you to really provide value to clients?
Yeah, so we've been blessed, frankly, to have a lot of recognition from the IBM company based on the technical investments that we've made. We've won the Beacon Award for technical excellence for, 4 years, 5 years now. And but why we do that is because skills win in the marketplace, right? We have an expression in the organization that the best trained army wins the war, and we believe it. And what we appreciate about IBM is you do a wonderful job of building the roadmaps from an education perspective. You've got great tracking with your business partner technical vitality scorecard. And we actually use that. I have a monthly meeting with my staff where we go through where are we at on that chart. And we look at that and we say that's all fine and dandy. But what you've done is you've made every program, whether it's hardware or software, tied to the level of investments and technical skills that the business partner firm has. So you pay us more, the more we invest in your product, and that makes us invest more in your product, right? And then ultimately, I think that makes us much more successful in the field. So while we've done a lot of good things, your programs help drive that.
Well, it's joint. It really snowballs, because if you have better skills, you're able to bring a better solution to the client. You do represent the IBM company when you're out there. We want to make sure that you have the skills, to go and do kind of a first class. So let me ask a final question from the two of you. If you were to give, any recommendation, or advice to your peers here in the audience on how to grow their business, what would you tell them to do when they get back to their offices?
Well, let's see, don't compete with us. But outside of that, I would say, first of all, listen to your clients. Understand you're not selling product, you're selling a solution to a business problem, and you've got to focus on what the ROI they're going to get out of that. I'd say, secondly, figure out what you're going to major in. I mean, not every partner can invest in everything. It's an impossibility, right? But what you can do is build very deep skills in an area or a few areas, right? So, whether that be cloud or analytics or mobility or social or security, whatever it may be, get really, really good at it and you'll be successful. And then the last thing would be a bit of eating your own cooking. Ernie talked about utilizing the technology within your enterprise. We use IBM technology to build our own cloud offerings. We use Netezza in the organization. We use Cognos. And what we're able to then do is show our sellers how we use it in our own enterprise, and they can show their clients how to use it. So I think there's lots of value in that as well.
Very good. Darrin?
So, building on top of what Joe said, first and foremost, do not be complacent. Let me give you an example. When my wife moved me to the frozen tundra of Rochester, New York in 1991, Eastman Kodak was employing 40,000 employees in our county. They made a fundamental and catastrophic mistake. They perceived themselves to be the best filmmaker in the world. They continued to produce the best film. They got complacent. They got comfortable with what it is that they did. They let the digital era pass them by. Even though they were continuing to build the best film in the industry, they didn't realize that their customers didn't want film. If Joe and our company continue to perceive themselves as an I-Series provider, we would be far less relevant than we are today, and I'm pretty sure that we wouldn't be sitting up here today with you. So I think it's imperative, we're in a very beneficial position to represent products from IBM in the industry. It's important for us to listen to our customers first, understand the solutions that the OEM provides, and prioritize where we're going to major in based on what our customer demand is. Solve those business problems for those customers, and then replicate. Rinse and repeat. Replicate that with relevant customers.
Well, I think a key thing is, look, the world is transforming. You had to transform. And all of us collectively in this room, we're helping our clients transform.
Yeah.
And we've got to bring a good understanding of the problem domain, bring solutions, and help them understand how to apply technology so that they become leaders in their respective industries and their respective geos. So listen, guys, I want to thank you very much for sharing some of the insight of Sirius, and congratulations on the growth. So Darrin